hats off to Portland. They played a really good game. They came in and beat us in a lot of facets of the game. And it's hard to beat a team three times. And unfortunately, they got us tonight in one that was really important. And so proud of this group. It was a disappointing season. I'm not going to hide from that. We got a lot of work to do as a program to get back on track. And we will. We absolutely will. But there's a lot of love in that locker room. Those guys are great young men, and I'm very proud of them for who they are, and we're all going to grow from this.
A reminder for those on Zoom to use the raise hand function, and you will be able to unmute to ask your question. But we'll go ahead and start with questions for the student athletes.
Yeah, Jeff Ferrato with the West Coast Conference. Ace, I'm sure you would have rather done this in a victory, but you broke the WSU freshman scoring record tonight. Just talk about your freshman season and kind of how it's been for you.
My voice a little raspy. I got sick this week, but I just had a really blessed freshman year. I feel like I came in, earned my spot. D-Roy believed in me for the whole season. And I was with a whole bunch of guys like ND who trusted in me, and we built a brotherhood. And I'm happy I went to Washington State. Like, I'm glad I'm here, and yeah, I'm just happy about the year. I feel like I learned a lot. I feel like the whole team learned a lot. I feel like we learned how to push through ups and downs, and it's gonna make us better people, also better players.
There was a moment with about 6 minutes to go where it looked like you had an open three-pointer from the top of the key, and had you made it, it would have been a 2-point game. And here comes Sensori Hercules out of nowhere and gets up and blocks it. What do you remember about that play? Did you see him coming?
Nah, I didn't see him coming. If I see him coming, I would have pump fake. But yeah.
Just for you guys, I mean, it was kind of the story of the season in a lot of ways. On the road, there wasn't the response to the punch, and they threw one again, kind of on that play. I just mentioned, just what was it about, maybe as a whole, that eluded you guys being able to respond on the road?
I think on the road we gotta learn how to play with composure. I learn how to stick together. I mean, at home, we have all the confidence in the world, and we talk to each other because we feel like we're home, we're comfortable. But away, when we're in different environments and stuff, we're not in our natural habitat, and we struggle with that all year. So, yeah, I mean, learning that's what really slowed us down. Away games, and we just had to learn how to play with composure. Yeah, we gotta keep learning.
Yes, I just wanted to know what you think of your season, considering you had so much youth with no seniors among your top 7 scorers.
I think, like, with no seniors and all the guys who are not seniors are the top scorers, that comes with a lot of learning. Myself, me and Ace, we learned a lot this season. I learned a lot about myself this season and what I'm capable of, and what being a leader looks like. Yeah, I mean, everyone's in new roles, and the guys who are not seniors stepped up to that role, and that comes with losses and wins. So yeah, we just learned, just a learning process for us, and I learned a lot by myself. And yeah.
Any other questions for the student athletes? All right, you guys are free to go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead and start with questions for Coach.
Coach, you said a few times this year, including I think it was after the LMU game, that you guys were close, and it just obviously never got to that point where it went from close to being there. Just as you kind of look back now on 32 games, I mean, what was the ultimate thing that you feel like kept you guys from getting to that point?
Well, I think there's a lot of factors that go into the season that we had, and I think the inexperience is something that I need to do a better job recruiting to, and there's a lot of good coaching in this league, and so we had a good team that got better throughout the year, and the reality is so do the other teams, and we weren't able to improve at a fast enough rate to take those guys over. We got to become a tougher team defensively. We got to be a tougher team offensively that can withstand some of these shooting droughts that we have. My teams have always shot a lot of threes. This team has probably shot more threes than any of my other teams. And there's just a lot of different factors that go into that consistency that we needed to play at this level. And you saw flashes of it at different times. We have a great group of young men. But there's some clear things I think that when I look back at the season that we could have done a better job in.
Obviously asked the players about it too, but it felt like a lot of the story of the season was defined on the road and just the inability to win away from home. And, that mental fortitude, again, you talked about a lot. I mean, is that something you coach? I mean, how do you get to a team to get to that point where they can respond not just at home, but also on the road?
Well, I think it's a balance. Like there's obviously the experience factor of guys understanding what it takes to win on the road and how to keep and break momentum, because that's harder to do on the road. There's also the idea that, like, when you have a team full of newcomers, you're going to spend a lot of time in the fall and the summer implementing your stuff and making sure they understand the concepts and what it looks like. And you can do that to a certain level, which is important. But you also need to just build that mental toughness. And I think we had to spend a lot of time putting in offense and putting in defense, and we got to make them more consistent. And maybe that means simplifying a few things early in the season so we can get a little tougher. Because that's really what it is. Winning on the road versus winning at home is toughness. And I think that there's some ideas that we got to go over as coaches. We got to, whether it comes to recruiting or it comes to the way we develop this team. But we had a top 4 offense in the conference. I think we did some good things where we got the guys playing together offensively. We had stretches where we were really good defensively. Like we held teams to the slowest pace in the conference, and so that means we were doing a great job in the first 22 seconds of the shot clock. We just kind of broke down those last 8 seconds, and a lot of that is just that those fundamentals, those details that really have to be ingrained, and sometimes the best way to ingrain those is through really, really hard times. And those losses that we had, I think, have made these guys tougher, and unfortunately, it just didn't have enough time to get it figured out.
Coach, can you just talk about the freshman season that Ace Glass had for you?
Ace had an incredible year for us. I think what makes it so impressive to me is not his talent. He's talented. We knew he was talented walking in the door. He could score. He could play make. But the way he handles adversity and handles challenges, like I've coached a lot of good players, coached guys that go to the NBA, and he's the best I've seen at taking something that when it goes wrong or a team takes something away or they put him at the top of the scouting report, and I challenge him. By the next game, he's already starting to figure it out, and whether it was defensively or it was playmaking or if it was becoming more efficient, there's all these different steps that he had to take, and it was really impressive to see him take those. And like you said, I think he's broke the freshman scoring record at Washington State. It just had an incredible year, and the way he handled adversity was probably the most impressive part to me.
John, you're welcome to unmute and ask your question.
Hey, Coach. The big news out of Pullman today is that the school's Board of Regents approved a $20 million investment in your athletic department. I was curious, what does it mean to you to get such support like that?
I think it's a very big deal. I've been focused on this tournament and this game, and I really appreciate the president and the administration and the Board of Regents and everyone involved for making sure we understand how important athletics is to this university.
Well, Coach, just looking back on how this game unfolded, it seemed like kind of a tale of two halves. What happened in that second half that allowed Portland to get some separation and ultimately to come away with the win?
It was just one of those games, man, where we're getting good looks and guys are executing on the offensive end, but the ball just didn't go down. And you have games like that, and obviously it's been kind of a disappointment. That's happened quite frequently this year. But we got a great group of guys, and a lot of great hearts in that locker room. So right now it's just about supporting those guys and being there for as much as possible.
I really feel for you because I totally agree with you. The whole season getting to know these guys and these kids and being around them, they are a really good bunch, and they really like each other. They have fun with each other. I've seen it in the hotels and on the road and everything. But
yeah,
let's talk about Knuckles.
Yeah.
In the second half,
yeah.
he really got to you. We just weren't prepared for him
because
he's not a big part of their offense.
Yeah, Knuckles is a strong downhill guard. He does a lot of different things for him. A really good utility player. He can dribble, pass, and shoot. He just kind of put his head down, and with some execution pieces that we weren't yet prepared for. But again, just one of those games where, guys just kind of put their head down and get to the rim on us. And, we saw that throughout the course of the season. And, it's kind of been kind of a weak spot. We do a good job of guarding the first 20 seconds of the shot clock. And then the last 10 seconds, guys just put their head down and get to the rim on us, and it kills us.
I imagine if I told you and the staff going into this game that Joel Foxwell would be 4 of 14 on the final stat sheet, that you would take that happily.
Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, he was the number one guy on our scouting report, definitely. He's been doing some great stuff all season. And, like I said, our guys, they do a really good job of doing what we need them to do. But, after that, it's just about using their creativity and be basketball players out there that, we can always just take a jump in. But, again, we got some really good guys in that locker room, and they got good, really, really good hearts. And, they deserve to have a really good year, but unfortunately, that's just not how sports happen sometimes.
And, I mean, I love our perimeter shooting. I think we did a really good job all year, but was it just at the end of the season, our legs tired? We never really quite got where we shot the three-pointer in the first couple of months.
Yeah. It was just, one of those things where we getting good looks and, guys getting their feet up under them. The ball just didn't go down. It's no real, answer, clean answer for you there. I don't know if it's a confidence thing. I don't know if it's a tired thing. I don't know if guys are nicked up a little bit at the end of the season. We just didn't have that, mental capacity to knock down those shots, especially in those big moments. Yeah, it just hurts you.
Yep. Well, Jerry, appreciate the time today, and I know this is an earlier exit than anyone wanted, but a lot of fun this season. Thanks to you and the staff for everything, and we're looking forward to what's next. And I know hoops will be starting back up for the Cougs before we know it.
1,000%. And I appreciate you guys. You guys done an unbelievable job all year, and I appreciate you guys' love and support. Thank you.